Good morning, traders. Welcome to the live trading room. I hope you all had a wonderful day. So yesterday we started the webinar a bit earlier about what time was that? It was about 4 a.m. GMT. That was looking at to take advantage of some opportunities that were presenting themselves on some of the pairs. I hope you have taken advantage of those short-term moves. Some moved about 120, 150 pips from yesterday. We're going to look at those in a bit. But I want us to start looking at the commodities first. Let's start with the commodities, that is gold. Let's look at gold. That is on the daily. So gold on the daily, the structure is still as follows. So we are expecting gold to make a bounce at current levels. Is that view still valid? It is still pretty possible that gold can bounce from current levels and give us this structure. Otherwise, if it doesn't, we'll see by getting another confirmation for downside here. Then that means that we'll be looking at this structure on gold before making a move to the upside. So let's see what is happening currently at this level. Is there any sign of reversal, whether it is in the higher degree or the lower degree? Let's look at the 4-hour. So on the 4-hour, we are still well below 50. There is no sign of reversal. So gold may still give us one more down. Where were we yesterday? Yesterday we were here. We had made what looked like a pullback. So the view was that if these can break above here, we will see further upside. But what we could see here was that this was at the top. As much as this one was still above 50, we were very close to around the to the 50 area on the RSI. So the stock and the RSI were not confirming this upside move. So that's why we've seen gold come down to this level. Now, on the 1-hour, is there any signs of reversal or any continuation pattern? Let's have a look here on the 1-hour gold. So the 1-hour, there is no sign of reversal. There is a slight divergence, but that divergence can just make a pullback like this. So we're still going to see continuation to the downside on gold. So we are not going to get the bounce as yet on gold. We're still coming down lower. Right, so the structure on gold, that is continuation to the downside. So that was being supported yesterday by the silver structure. So what we saw on silver was that it was making a move to the downside. I shouldn't have gone on to the 4-hour yet. Let's have a look here on the. Okay, let's look at the 4-hour and then we'll look at the lower time frame as well. Right, so silver, this is the structure that we saw yesterday. We saw this structure yesterday. Actually, almost the whole week. This was playing out the whole week, looking for this to come down. Why were we looking for silver to come down? We were looking for this structure on silver to come down and for silver to drop. Why were we looking for that? Because silver had made this impulse and this was the correction. So when this started to move to the downside, we saw this here. So we're looking for silver to continue to the downside. That's why even when gold looked to have a pullback, that looked like it was going to make a move to the upside. We know that gold and silver move together. So that's why we expected that that was going to make a move to the downside. So this should continue to the downside to at least break the low here around 26. So we should see silver coming down further. Let's look at the daily structure, see how far that silver move can go. So if you look at the silver move, the structure on silver, we're actually expecting silver to go all the way down back to around the 22 levels. So gold may still also be on a downtrend. So we may still see further downside on gold. 3 waves down, 3 waves up. Can we come down here in an impulse, or we can come down here with a 3 waves? So silver, we are still expecting this to come to the downside around the 22 area. Expect that move on silver. All right, so that will be confirmed if we see silver do this here. If we see silver break below that corrective structure, then we'll expect silver to continue all the way down to 22 area. So this will be a trade setup for silver to make this move. This is a lot of points to the downside. It's a significant move to the downside on silver if we can get to those levels. All right, so expect that on silver. Brent crude, still pushing up higher. Any pullback on Brent crude is still continuation to the upside. Okay, it looks like Brent crude is on its way to wave 3 here, upside. Right, so let's go to the US dollar pairs. The US dollar pairs are interesting because yesterday morning, Let's look at Euro US dollar. Euro US dollar, let me switch this off here. So we projected the blue box here yesterday, expecting this to be at that level. Now, we had this yesterday, or this structure had played out a couple of weeks earlier. So we were expecting Euro to only just get around the 50%, 61% of this level. And it played out inch perfect. That is where we are now. Is Euro US dollar now going to give us this corrective structure? If you'd watched the webinar yesterday, we expected a continuation to the upside, but simply just to get to the blue box and then come down. So that blue box, that you see there on this structure, I will show it just now, was projected yesterday morning, but we had always been looking for that three-wave pullback. So the blue box that is the blue box. So this blue box, we projected that it was going to reverse there. And we also looked at that being at the confluence of this. From right at the top here to the bottom, we looked at that to be at the confluence of the retracement at 61%. So this is what we mentioned yesterday. So the 61%, 0.618% retracement is around those levels, which is just a few pips shy of the blue box. So they're essentially at this confluence. So that's why in the blue box, there's that reversal, and we've got now that reversal. Now you can look for these to break lower. Do not rush into it just simply because there's an impulse. So wait for a corrective structure. I'm going to switch off the labelings there. So just because there's an impulse doesn't mean that you go in here and just sell, because this can correct here and then come down. So that will be a decent corrective structure for downside if you get an entry at around those levels. DXY. So the DXY also had a similar move, but it was not. Let's just see here the DXY. So the DXY, let's see how far where that retracement was for the DXY. Just the retracement and not the extension. So the DXY pretty much retraced around 61, not 61.8. It was actually lower than that. So let's put in the 78.6 here. Let's switch off some of the levels. How do we do the settings now? Looks. I'm trying to set. This is new. I've never seen this before on TradingView. Looks like they've updated something here now. I can't adjust my levels. Very funny. Anyway, so this one looks like it's at around 78.6. I'll figure this out later, guys. I don't know what's happening. Oh, there we go now. It comes out. There we go. This is what I'm looking for. So I'm looking for 78.6 just to see where that retraced. Looks like it is exactly at 78.6. We can switch off some of these levels. We don't necessarily want to see all of these. 23.6. That's fine. Right, so this one retraces the 78.6, looking like a Gatli pattern. So we've got that as a Gatli pattern. Can the DXY make a move to around these levels? So that needs to be confirmed here. If we're going to have a setup here for upside, it has to be confirmed here. And the stock and the RSI must confirm accordingly as well. On the 4 hour, we are above 50. The structure that will need to be complete is this one here. We'll need to complete that structure if we're going to see the DXY push back up for another 3 waves to the upside before coming down. So the same thing that we'll expect on Euro US dollar as well. So let's check the daily as well. On the daily, I want to check stock and the RSI. So on the daily, it looks pretty good for upside. If you look at the RSI looks like it's about to pop up above 50. This has made a 3-wave pullback. 1, 2, 3. We may see this similar structure here on the DXY. We may see another 3 waves to the upside here on the DXY. So it looks like we're going to see some upside here on the DXY, even if it's in the short to medium term, before we get that continuation to the downside. So let's watch out for this move here. It will have to be confirmed first. We need to see this above 50 and this one breaking above here. Then we're going to start looking for that upside short term. Pound US dollar showing some pullback currently. Do not be fooled by just this one single impulse. Doesn't mean anything until we get something like this. Then we can start looking at that and then look for a resumption of the move to the upside. Remember, we're looking for 144 on this one. So it is, we are nowhere close to that. Yes, yet we're still about 400, 500 pips away from those levels. US dollar chief has been sideways. It looks like it has actually made a 3-wave structure now. Let's get it to load. Okay, so this structure has been very complex. Let's switch off here. So the structure on US dollar chief has been pretty complex. We are now looking at it to potentially play out as something like this, as a 3-wave structure and then downside. But currently here looks like a continuation to the upside. Is this going to push slightly higher before coming down? Let's watch that for now. You don't want to be in a trade on that. The RSI is above 50. We are at the bottom, so this one is showing us continuation to the upside. We're going to see, even if it's a short-term upside, we should see something like this on the US dollar chief. US dollar CAD, bit of a bounce here with the rest of the US dollar pairs. We're getting a bounce on the US dollar pairs, but with that bounce, this one is not significantly breaking above 50. That is the RSI. We are still just around those levels. But for us to confirm that that is going to make a significant move to the upside, we need to see this correcting here. While that correction happens, this needs to stay above 50. And this needs to pull back around these levels for us to confirm that we're going to at least get a 3-wave move to the upside before continuation to the downside. Remember, pullbacks on US dollar CAD are opportunities to sell. Audi US dollar. Audi US dollar, we had a trade set up yesterday that played out for about 100 pips, okay, or 70 pips from around these levels. Went around these levels. Now we're making a pullback here. So most of the setups that we had now yesterday, we are now at reversal areas. We are now making these pullbacks. I don't think this is the overall reversal. I just think that this is going to be a pullback and we're going to resume higher. So we need to wait for this structure. If we get a confirmation for downside, we need to have the 4-hour, which we already have. We need to have the daily also below 50. Sorry, I muted myself out there. So Audi US dollar, you're looking for a pullback, you're looking for this. So do not go and sell this because the daily is still above 50 and this is about to reset here. Okay, so 1, 2, we're looking for upside. The same way that this happened here previously, we could still have this one continue to the upside, continue to the upside. So let's watch Audi US dollar. New Zealand, So New Zealand broke out of this corrective structure. And we said here, if we get back to around those levels, if we get a decent pullback, we'll be looking for the New Zealand to give us a pullback if there's going to be any continuation to the upside. So let's wait for this continuation. And I'm looking at this on the daily, guys. So I'm showing you the daily views. So the short-term impulse doesn't really mean anything at this stage. So let's see how this is going to play out when this corrective structure, the three-wave pullbacks are done. US dollar ZAR. Let's have a look at US dollar ZAR. US dollar ZAR has made that bounce that we've been looking at. This on the daily. We've been looking for it to bounce around this level. It went back up. It went up here. We thought that was going to go. It came back for one. And we did expect that it was going to make a bounce to the upside. With a short-term US dollar strength, the US dollar ZAR can come around those levels before continuing for one and then upside. That is US dollar ZAR, pound yen, finally giving us a decent pullback. It's about a 300 pip pullback from the highs of yesterday. But depending on your strategy, my strategy personally, I will not just be going for or to sell that impulse to the downside because it doesn't mean anything at this stage. This impulse could very well be just a three-wave structure that continues to the upside. Okay. From around these levels, we never really got an opportunity to ride onto this trend. So the last time we had an opportunity to ride onto the trend properly on the daily was around those levels. There were some other opportunities around these levels, but the most decent one with the most move was this one from around 137 that has now rallied over 1,000 pips. Okay, or 15,000 pips from around 137. So that is pound yen. So do not go and just see the two candles coming down and decide you want to sell. Wait for confirmation. Daily is still well above 50. RSI is still very strong, and this one is already resetting here. So we will see further upside on pound yen. US dollar yen. So US dollar yen, I have been looking for these to give a confirmation for a continuation to the upside here. After the break of this correction, I'll go to the 4 hours so you can see that correction again clearly because we saw it on the 4 hour yesterday. So we've broken out of that corrective structure. Any pullback on US dollar yen, we're looking for continuation to the upside. Let's look at the 4 hour. Look at the daily. RSI, we've resetted here at the bottom. This was when this one was making a move to the upside. We're still looking for continuation to the upside. RSI is still strong. So we'll see that continuation to the upside. Let's look at the 4 hour. Yesterday, this is what I saw. This confirmation here for upside, I actually got into this trade here, went up here and just back here at this level. So what I'll be waiting for, or what I'll be looking for is a decent pullback here for a continuation pattern to the upside. After this was broken, we expect US dollar yen to continue to the upside. Okay. That is US dollar yen. So you don't do anything here on US dollar yen. You want these to reset at the bottom. We want this one to remain above 50, and we'll look for this one to continue to the upside. Euro yen. Euro yen also a pullback, but we are again expecting that this will continue to the upside. They're making three-wave pullbacks. They can't continue in a parabolic move to the upside. Yesterday, got an entry around these levels. So there was a decent entry on the 1 hour on Euro yen. This was the entry on Euro yen yesterday. Another one just continued to the upside. Now, this could be a three-wave pullback and we start seeing the euro resume a move to the upside. So let's watch that. Chief yen of all the yen pairs, chief yen is the one that was not showing much strength for upside because of the weakness in the chief. So what we expect here, it looks like we've had a pullback here. This one is still going to continue lower here. We're still going to see some move to the downside here. Is it going to continue to the upside before continuing to the downside? We can't really see anything there at this stage. We'll just leave it for now. Okay, the yen, a pullback finally. We've just been looking for continuation patterns to the upside. So finally, we're getting some decent pullbacks. If these pullbacks are reversals, we will be able to trade them because the indicators will confirm the reversal. Let's have a look at the 4-hour on CAD yen. The trend is still pretty much to the upside. So yesterday we were seeing this one as a corrective structure if it was not there before, and for this to continue to the upside. So we've got that. We're now pulling back again. The pullback is nothing new. We've had pullbacks before. We keep getting the pullbacks. So this can be another pullback. And the deeper it is, the better it is for a bigger move to the upside. New Zealand. New Zealand. So, let's have a look at the New Zealand. All right, so Audi yen. Audi yen, also a pullback. Let's see how this corrective strike, how these impulses are going to play out. So we've got a strong impulse. So as you know, we're not just going to sell the impulse, we're going to wait for entry. We're going to wait for something like this, if this is going to be any downside here. So we wait for a pullback, whether it's going to be a deep one that makes a flat or just a shallow one that makes a three-wave zigzag. Either way, we'll wait for that confirmation. We can get a short-term move to the downside, which we can take advantage of. So that is how we'll look at Audi and New Zealand. Commodities, we've already looked at that. The pound pairs are also showing reversals. Pound chief, let's go to the daily. Doesn't have to just look at this impulse on the 4 hours. So if we look at pound chief, it has reversed at the blue box. That is at equal legs between this and that. Okay, if I just switch on here, you'll see that this is the blue box that we projected yesterday. It reversed exactly just to pop above 100%. Now we're getting the pullback. Is that the end of the move on pound chief? It made a very strong move from 123 to 126 in just a matter of days. It was a very parabolic move. So now we're seeing these pulsing moves. Is this a reversal or is this going to continue to the upside? If it continues to the upside, we're going to see this go all the way up to 1,618. For now, we don't do anything, just watch those pullbacks. Pound CAD, also a very interesting structure because we've got now this, which we looked at yesterday. We were actually here before the break below here yesterday. Now we're looking for that structure. Let me just switch off here so we can see only the structure. So yesterday we were looking at this to come way around here before the break below this. So look for any continuation pattern to this side, to this level, as we've shown yesterday as well. So pound CAD looking downside if there is confirmation for that move to the downside. Right, so pound Audi, we were looking at this yesterday. Has not gone anywhere, still sideways, still looks corrective, can still push to the upside as follows, provided the stock in the RSI confirms. As it is now, we are most likely still looking for upside. We are just at around 50. We have reset it at the bottom. So it looks likely that pound Audi will give us this move to the upside. Let's go to the 4-hour again. So if we look at this on the 4-hour, We are not getting any signs of a break to the upside here. We're still well below 50. So we would want to see this push to the upside if we start seeing a correction here and then upside. Then we're going to get involved into pound Audi for upside. For now, let's wait for that to confirm. New Zealand. So New Zealand will be looking for this to continue to the downside. It looks like it's about to confirm this trade setup here. There's a trade setup here on the 1 hour. Not the cleanest one. We'll be looking for this to drop below this and continue to the downside. Why are we looking for that? If you look at the daily on New Zealand, there's a bigger structure that is being broken with that corrective structure. So that corrective structure is happening at a critical level on pound New Zealand. This is the structure. So if you look at pound New Zealand, we're looking at this structure, and this correction that you saw on the 4 hour is happening here. And that area is a very critical level, because if we break below that level, that means that is, if we channel this correction, that is a level where we expect this correction to the upside to have ended, and then we start seeing downside. So you want to get that trade set up on the 1 hour on pound New Zealand. Let's go to the 1 hour. You saw that on the 4 hour, there's no trade setup. On the 1 hour, there's a trade setup. We are here at the top. We are below 50. This one is just broken below here. So we can actually start looking for this one to go to the downside. So the structure here is just not so good in terms of the stop, because it's a bit sharp. And if you have to take it at current levels, your stop loss will be, it actually will be fine. The stop loss won't be that far. It's going to be about 60 pips. So you can put your stop loss around these levels, about 70 pips. Okay, so if you're taking this, you can put your stop at about 70 pips on pound New Zealand. Euro pound, we're getting a bounce because of the pullback in the pound pairs. Let's go to euro pound. The sharp pullback that you see on the pound pairs is what you're seeing on the euro. So we're going to see this one make a move to the upside. Now, if you look at the daily, they are very interesting structures. Let's go to the daily. Where this has reversed is very interesting. All right, so this is the structure on euro pound. Is this going to play out, and are we going to start seeing the euro pound push up higher? That means most of the pound pairs are going to now give us the pullbacks. Euro Audi, bounce on all the euro pairs. We're getting a bounce on all the euro pairs. Let's have a look. So euro Audi on the daily, 1, 2, 3. Could we have completed the 5 waves, and we're now starting to see the bounce? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. You can't really count the number of waves here on this one. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5. Correction. So ABC corrective structure. Is it complete? Are we going to see a bit of a bounce here and continuation to the upside? Is that done? This has to now break above this, above 50. We're at the bottom, but we need to see the daily above 50 for us to confirm that we're going to have a significant move to the upside on Euro Audi. So Euro Audi, we've been selling from 3 weeks ago from around those levels until we got the reversal yesterday at those levels. Euro New Zealand also bounced. Basically, all the euro pairs are showing a bounce. It's the same structure on Euro New Zealand as well. The 3 waves there, a correction there, and the 5 waves to the downside here. So it's 5 waves down, 3 waves up, and 5 waves down. We're expecting to see something like this. Right, so that is Euro New Zealand, expecting a bit of a bounce there. Euro CAD, Let's have a look at EuroCAD on the daily. Right, so EuroCAD, this is the structure. 3 waves down, 3 waves up, and 3 waves down. Are we done with these 3 waves? Are we now going to see these? Are we now going to see these on EuroCAD? So we need to see a bit of a bounce here to the upside. So yesterday, I've even put in an alert around this trend line here to, so I've already got an alert on EuroCAD. Obviously, we have not confirmed any upside here on EuroCAD as yet, so we will wait for it to confirm with a corrective structure in the lower degree if it's going to break to the upside. So it looks like we're going to have something here. If we do get, then that's what we're going to look for on EuroCAD. EuroChief. Right, so EuroChief, we made a parabolic move to the upside. Also just getting a pullback here. Internally here, it looks like we have a structure like this: 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and a 3. Could this make an expanding flat as follows? So this one becomes an expanding flat or a running flat. It can be any. So we've got a move to the downside here. Down here, this one breaks up higher. We come back down. This can be either running or expanding flat depending on how it's going to play out. So that needs to confirm downside here first. For it to confirm downside, we need to see the daily below 50. We need to see the 4-hour below 50 for us to confirm that we're going to have a significant move to the downside. As it is, the daily is still well above 50, so you don't even attempt to sell that at this stage unless you want to take advantage of the short move to the downside. If you've got a way to manage that, but otherwise, if you're using the same strategy as us, you don't want to get involved there. So Audi, expect it to just continue to this level. Expect it to just continue to that level. If we're going to get a bounce there, we're going to have something like this on Audi. We already started with this. Audi New Zealand, that is. Audi CAD, our trade on Audi CAD did not reach its target, as reversed with all the reversals from yesterday and almost back at entry. So we got the trade set up here, went for a couple of 100 pips to the upside. Now we're making this pullback. Are we going to see the 3-way pullback? Let's see. Then upside. So something similar to this. Again, we'll expect a move to the upside when that is done. So the crosses, they're all showing pullbacks, all of them showing similar pullbacks. So all these impulses have happened. So this does not mean anything at this stage because we've seen the impulses before. We've seen it before. Can still play out exactly the same way. So I'm not going to do anything until there's clear confirmation of whether this is going to make a 3-way pullback or continuation to the upside. But the bias is still upside. The trend still looks upside on the crosses as well. Let's look at New Zealand CAD. New Zealand CAD and New Zealand Chief will be similar. All of them also showing pullbacks. New Zealand Chief, there's a pullback, but this does not even look like a pullback. It just looks like one move to the downside. Just looks like one single candle to the downside, which can still make 3-wave continuation to the upside. So wait for that to confirm. Don't do anything at this stage. CAD, similar. Let's actually look at the NASDAQ again because we didn't actually. So the NASDAQ will have something like this. This is the Dow Jones. Apologies, we'll be looking for this. So the NASDAQ looks actually as follows. So you've got a move down here. We're expecting that it was going to break higher. So we've got a pullback, still continuing to the downside. Is this going to be a deeper pullback and continuation to the upside? We're not going to do anything on the indices until we get proper setups. That is the NASDAQ and the UK 100. So the UK 100, this was the expectation. We're looking for this to make a 3-wave structure here and then come down. It looks like we're still going to get this one coming down here. Looks like we're still going to be sideways here. We may get the UK 100 coming down here, making a bounce here and making this move here. If we're going to get a structure like that, that means we're going to see continuation to the upside. DAX. So the DAX, we're looking for this to break higher. We had already broken out of this structure. We're making another one here, which we did not break. So we're still expecting the DAX to continue to the upside. Nikkei, deeper pullback. We're going to see upside the same way we saw this one continue to the show continuation to the upside. We are expecting the same thing here. The view will only change if this happens. This happens with the stock at the top. This happens with the stock at the top. RSI below 50. And this giving us a sell setup. That's the only time we're going to change our view for upside. And as it is now, nothing has changed. We're still looking for further upside. And the Nifty, just a 3-wave pullback, 1, 2, 3, expecting continuation to the upside. Right, so that is the Nifty. And let's look at the cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin looks like it's making a double here. We saw this as a 3 waves to the downside. Let's show it again. Looks like we're making a double here. This was 1, this is 2, this is 3. Pullback in 3 waves. 1, 2, 3 will be the expectation WXY structure before we get the next leg to the upside. Something like that. That is Bitcoin. So we are pulling back currently. Ethereum, the same. We saw the 3 waves here. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3 up. Are we going to get another 1, 2, 3 down before we move to the upside? WXY here. Then we'll look for upside. All right, so that is Ethereum, Litecoin. Litecoin, 1, 2, 3, downside. This one will simply make an ABC corrective structure before we get the next leg to the upside. We are pulling back. Ripple. We'll expect Ripple to even come and retest these levels here. The structure here is a bit complex, so we're looking at this as 1, 2, 3 down, 1, 2, 3 up, and a possible 3 waves to the downside. We started with these 3 waves to the upside. Now we've got these 3 waves to the downside. Are we going to get a bounce at those levels before coming down? All right, so that's the expectation there. Right, so that's all for this week, guys. Trade responsibly. I'll see you all on Sunday during the weekly outlook. Cheers, everybody. Bye-bye.